Good morning, language warriors. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello once again. How is everyone doing today? It is Thursday, May 18th. It's 9:18 a.m. I'm sorry I'm getting a little bit of a late start today. I'm a little tired. I didn't sleep well. But I'm here. So, let's do this thing. Thank you, Kiki. Hello, Anna. Hello, Abrakan. Hello, Roberta and Mustafa. Hello, Noah and Tanya and Fluke. Hello, Mr. Aram. Hello, everyone. Well, welcome back once again. This is English Q&A session. And so that means if you have some questions, then I will try to have some answers for you. So, who would like to begin? Let's see, who do we have with us today? Do I see any new flags? Hello, Hyesuk. Hello again, Vadim. Hello, Arthur Francisco Jr. Bom dia. What is the world's smallest country? If I remember right, it's, what is that country? Is it Luxembourg? I want to say it's either Luxembourg or... I'm not sure. Oh, well, technically, yeah, the Vatican. Right, the Vatican. Yeah, but that's not... The Vatican can say whatever it wants, but it's not a country. I don't care what it says. Vatican, I don't know. It's a city, man. It's a city. That's a city. That's not... That's even just a part of a city. But if you're not talking about the Vatican, then the next one is Monaco. Monaco is the next smallest one. Okay, yeah, there's a few others that are much smaller than Luxembourg. I thought it was Luxembourg. But no, there are some other small ones. Monaco and Gibraltar and Tokelau and the Coco Islands, St. Bartholomew. Yeah, so there are some other ones. There are a bunch of small ones. Luxembourg's not even on the list. Well, you know, there's a lot of little island nations. Hello, Guillerme. Guten Morgen. Are you learning German, Guillerme, also? What's the meaning of inquire versus ask a question? Zarif, inquire means the same thing. It's just more formal. Okay? So, asking a question is inquiring. Inquire is just a formal way of saying ask a question. Kiki wants to know, do I use ChatGPT? I've used it, yeah. The biggest state of the U.S., that's Alaska. Alaska, the state of Alaska is nearly half It's nearly the same size as half of the continental U.S. So Alaska is the one state of Alaska has so much land that it's almost as big as the other part of the United States, the lower part of the United States, half of that. That's how big Alaska is. Why am I studying English? Well, Abrakan, I'm not studying English. I teach English. No, Texas is second, I believe, and then California is third, I believe. I think. No, New York is not even close to the biggest. No, New York is pretty small comparatively. Noah, there's many other states in America that are bigger than New York. Most of them. Can I explain the difference between a replica and a copycat? So the word replica is usually used, we use that word when we're talking about something that was made that's not the original, right? So for example, maybe you want to make something that's usually very expensive and old, right? So, for example, maybe you want the sword of King Arthur, whatever, right? You want the sword of King Arthur, or the crown of the King of England. You want the crown of the King of England. Well, you can't afford the real crown, so maybe you can afford a replica, which is a cheaper version that's made to look the same. Replicas can be of varying value. Some replicas are very, very cheap and not very well made. Some replicas are almost exact copies of the original. Okay, so for example, there's a famous car in America called the AC Cobra. It's an old sports car, kind of a racing car. And it's a famous old racing car. And because it's such a classic, famous old racing car, there are still many people who build it now using modern parts, but they try to build it as close to the original as they can. Carlos, not necessarily. No, replicas are not always piracy. No, you can make a replica and get permission to do that, right? So if you ask for permission to make replicas, that's not piracy. Okay? And a copycat. So copycat is a term that we usually use when we're talking about a person, actually. A person is a copycat of, well, I mean, it could be a thing too. But when I was a boy, we always used to use that term. He's a copycat. You know, it just means he pretends to be like you, or he does the same thing as you. You know, look, he has a white shirt, you have a white shirt. He's a copycat. You know, meaning like you're someone who's trying to copy what other people do, right? So that's one meaning of it, but the other meaning of it is just copy. It's a copy, right? A copy being a reproduction, usually a paper reproduction, but not necessarily. New York is not the center of American politics, Noah. Washington, D.C. is the center of American politics. And Noah, please don't write your comment more than once. You only need to write your comment one time. Okay? But, Noah, your connection might not be good. So, sometimes you might have to wait. So write your comment one time and then wait to see if it comes. Okay? When you write your comments 3 times, that's not nice. If everyone does that, then there can't be a conversation. Okay, so please try not to write your comments more than one time. Okay? What is the difference between at first and first? Mehran, maybe nothing. But again, Mehran, without context, it's really not easy to answer that question. First and at first could be the same thing, okay? At first is what I say when I'm talking about my first impression, my first thoughts or views or impression about something. So maybe I'll say, at first I thought I was late, but then I realized I wasn't. Or at first I thought this class was very difficult, but then I realized it wasn't that bad. So at first, when I use it that way at the beginning of a sentence, it's telling you that my first impression was this. But usually that means we're going to say, at first, blah, 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 but then, blah, 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 blah. Okay? At first, blah, 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 but then, blah, 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 blah. Okay? But the word first just means the first thing. First, second, third. So if you have a race, the number one person, that's the first. The number two person, that's the second. The number three person, that's the third. Right? Or any usage of that. First, second, third. It's called ordinal numbers. So in order. In order. Rayad wants me to explain the differences of and from. So, when you're talking about of, usually we're talking about possession of something, right? So, but from is usually talking about the source of something. Where does something come from, right? So if I say, let me think here for a moment. What is that made of? When I say what is that made of, I'm asking you, of what material is that? Okay, so in this case, of is talking about the possession of what material. It possesses what material. Okay? What is it made of? Okay? So, if you want to, you can go to this page here. And they have a really good explanation that tells you all about the differences between of and from. And you can... there are a bunch of examples. Okay? Where in America do people go caving? Well, that's an interesting question, Guillerme. Well, I live in Ohio, and there are some caves in the Midwest. Guillerme, have you ever heard of Mammoth Cave? Mammoth Cave is one popular cave that's not too far away from me. But there are many caves in America, Guillermo. Do a search online and see what caves. There's Carlsbad Caverns and Mammoth Cave and... I'm trying to think of the other ones, but I can't think of them right now. Abrakan, what does the word miser mean? Well, it's not a word we use very often anymore, but a miser is usually a person who is not very social, maybe kind of Gruff means kind of angry, like not a very nice person. And usually they're very stingy. Stingy means that they keep all their money. They don't want to give their money to anyone for anything, ever. That's a miser. Yes, a Shelby Cobra. That's correct. Right, and a Rolex, right? Yeah, a Rolex, a real one is 10,000 and a replica is maybe 100. Right, that's right. Hello, Anna. Hello, Gila. You are welcome, Ruslan. Hello, Diora. Juan Carlos, did I try playing the recorded streaming? I did, but there was a bunch of problems the other day, but I think I figured it out. I talked to some people at Hello Talk. I think I figured it out. So I will try it again, maybe this weekend. I may try to see if I can schedule another live stream that'll be just a pre-recorded one. So it's not live. It's just a replaying of a pre-recorded live stream. Okay? Interesting, Carlos. I didn't know that there was so much piracy in Brazil. Hello, Henny Christina. I'm okay. What are the differences between relevant and related? Anna, Yoshahoja Yangdi Isa, Yoshahoja Chabadodi Isa. So, to be related to something means to have a relationship with something. A relationship could be anything, right? So that could be these things are red and those things are red. That's a relationship. They're related. How are these things related? Oh, that's red and that's also red. Relationships. How am I related to my brother and my sister? They are my siblings. That we are related because we are family, right? That's another kind of related, to have a relationship, right? So, to be related to something means to have something in common or some common connection with someone else or something else. To be relevant is more about, are you talking about the same thing, right? So if I say, I think it's going to rain tomorrow, and you say, well, I think I will bring my swimsuit. Or maybe, no, let me try again. If I say it's going to rain tomorrow and you say, okay, well, that's okay because I want to get a nice tan. That's not relevant. It doesn't sound relevant. If you say something like, hot dogs are yummy, and I say the weather is good, those are not relevant. They're not relevant to each other. Okay? So to be relevant means to have, let me think about my words. To be relevant means that information is useful or not useful, or it's related or not related. So sometimes if your information is not related, then it's not relevant. That's the connection between those words. So if the things that you're talking about are related, then they could be relevant to what you're discussing. But if they're not related, then they won't be relevant. Okay? Matthew wants to know, does the word ransom mean money? Usually, yeah. Ransom is the word that you use if someone is kidnapped, right? Like they take someone and then they say, I'll give the person back, but only if you give me $1 million. $1 million, that's the ransom money. Ransom money. You give me the person, I give you the money. That's called ransom. Okay? Hello, Samana. Alejandra says, today is my first day as an English teacher at the university. Well, congratulations, Alejandra. Good for you. I'm sure you will do just fine. Just be patient. Just be positive. Be passionate. Carlos, you're almost right, my friend. You said from my wallet, but they took the wallet off the table. But no. To use it the way you said, you have to say OFF, 2 Fs, off the table. If you said of the table, that means that something is of the table, means it's owned by the table, or it belongs to the table, or it's related to the table. Okay? For example, Carlos, have you ever seen, there are many people who have an O before their name, like maybe O'Shaughnessy or O. Henry or O. Murphy or O. whatever. There's many, they're usually Irish names, right? And they start with an O. What does the O mean? Does anyone know? What does the O mean in the beginning of someone's name, their family name? No, it doesn't mean Obama. It means of, right. So if you say my name is Frank O'Shaughnessy, then that means I am Frank of the family Shaughnessy. I am Frank of the family Shaughnessy. So I am part of that family. Okay? Henny, I'm confusing you. I'm sorry. Yes, but Mr. Obama is famous everywhere, but we're not talking about him. Okay, please be patient, everyone. There are many comments here. Matthew wants me to make a live stream about job interviews. What just happened? Bad connection. Matthew, I think that's a good idea. I can do that. Yeah, I can do a live stream about job interviews. Let me think about that and I'll put it together for you, okay? I think I'm having some connection problems. Vero says, in France, the cave is the place where we put the bottles of wine. Well, right. Originally, yeah. I mean, and then you created cellars, right? And that's what we also use too, is the wine cellar. Diora, I'm sorry. I missed what you wanted me to write down. I'm not sure. Noah, no, you are wrong about that, my friend. I don't know where you really need to read more, my friend. I'm sorry, but oh, that was not nice. Anyway, Zarif, what is the meaning of dismiss? To dismiss means to tell people they can leave. So when I have my class, my students want to leave when the bell rings, but they know they can't leave until I dismiss them. So the bell will ring, ding, 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 ding. And then they look at me like, can we go? Can we go? Can we go? And I say, okay, class dismissed. And now they can leave. I've given them permission to leave. Okay? So dismiss has a few meanings. That's one of them. Means to allow people to leave or to tell people to leave. But dismiss could also be used when we talk about not regarding or not paying attention to something. So if you say, I'm really worried about this thing, I'm really, really, really worried, and I say, forget it, I'm dismissing your concerns. You have many concerns, you think they're important, and I'm saying, dismissed. We don't need them, right? So it's a similar meaning to when I say class dismissed. Okay? Hello, Catalina. Lois says, I want to know how to respond to friends who are trying to persuade me in aggressive ways. Do you mean like they're trying to flirt with you? Lois, that's very simple. Start asking them grammar questions about English, and they will leave. Every time they try to flirt with you, ask them a question about past perfect tense, or ask them a question about explaining the difference between pluperfect and something else. Just give them a question. You can even just search online and just find a grammar question. It doesn't matter. Because almost everybody here, if they're trying to flirt, they're not interested in language learning. And so if you ask them to do that, they'll get bored and leave. They'll leave you alone. Okay? Do I know any other platforms other than LinkedIn to get a job remotely? Vana, no, I don't. I'm sorry. I have never been to Indonesia. I would like to go sometime. Henny, I'm not a college teacher. I'm a teacher. I teach wherever I want to teach. And right now, I only teach online. Okay? But I have taught for many, many years in many, many different kinds of schools. You are welcome, Anna. Samana says anesthesia is relevant to surgery, right? Yeah, right. And you could also use the word related. You could say anesthesia is related to surgery, and anesthesia is also relevant to surgery. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Matthew, what is a sermon? A sermon is usually a speech that someone gives usually about some kind of a moral thing, something about good and evil or bad and good, So usually when we talk about sermons, it's usually in church. Okay, if people go to church, then the preacher will get up and give a sermon, and he'll tell a story or he'll tell his feelings about something that he believes. Okay? Really? I didn't know that. Henny Christina says that Obama speaks Bahasa very fluently. I did not know that. I did know he's from there, but I didn't know, well, not him, but his family. But I didn't know he speaks the language. That's cool. I'm going to look that up and talk about it. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay. Please be patient, everyone. There are many questions here. Thank you, Ivan. Ah, you mean friends in real life are trying to persuade you to believe what she thinks is right. About what, Lois? Is it about her life or about your life? Henny Christina, I don't have a favorite song. I'm a musician. I have too many. I don't have a favorite. I can't name one. Jin Young Kim, you can ask any question you want to, and I'll try to help you. I don't have a favorite band either, Henny Christina. I like too many different bands. Do I believe in strong, independent women? Sure. I'm not afraid. Why would that bother me? Yeah, I knew he spent time in Jakarta, but I just didn't know he spoke the language. That's interesting. Those are all good bands, Henny. I like all those bands, but I don't have a favorite. I don't have a favorite. I have played thousands of songs, probably hundreds of thousands of songs. And Lily, yes, 我会说中文. Henny Christina, I'm old. I don't have a family. I don't have kids. Not married. Aerosmith is pretty good too. Jin Young Kim says, what's the meaning of that's a sound idea? When we say that's a sound idea, it basically means that's a good idea. It sounds like a good idea. Okay? So if something is a sound idea, it means, oh, I heard what you said and I think that sounds good to me. That sounds right, like the right answer. Okay? Matthew, remotely means not from the same place. So, for example, this is called a TV remote control. Okay, so I don't have to walk and touch the TV. I can use this from a far distance, remotely. So to do something remotely to me means to do it from a distance. Okay, so many people now, we talk about working remotely from home, right? Instead of going to the office, you work from home on your computer. Okay? Henny, I'm 47. You're close. Anita says, which one do I suggest for you, for me, watching English movies with English subtitles or without, or just by listening? Anita, I suggest all of those. If you're going to watch a TV show and try to use it to help you with your English, then what you should do is watch it one time with no subtitles, then watch it again with the subtitles, then watch it again with the transcript. Whoops, sorry. I spelled it wrong. Watch it again with the transcript. Okay? We have connection problems today. So the point is, if you're watching a TV show or movie to try to help you with your English, you have to watch it many times, many different ways. Watch it once with subtitles, once without subtitles, once with the transcript, once with the subtitles and the transcript. Watch it again with nothing. Okay? There's not one way, there's many ways, and you should do them all. Okay? Mushin, is it Mus? Oh, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. I'm going to say it's Mohsin. Mohsin wants to know what is the most common tense used in daily life? Well, those would be simple present, simple past, and simple future. Those are the simple ones. Those are the ones that are most commonly used. But present perfect whoops. So present perfect and simple past, those are two that are often confused. If I'm talking about something I did in the past, I went to the baseball game last week. That's simple past. But if I say I have been to 10 baseball games in my lifetime, that's present perfect. I'm talking about the past all the way until now. I'm talking about the past all the way until now. Okay? So the way you can know about the present perfect is, are they asking about one time period or two? If they're only asking about the past, then that's simple past. If they're asking about the past all the way up until now, that's present perfect. Okay? Samana wants to know the fastest and best way to get better in life. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. Henny, why did I choose to be single for a very long time? Would it be better if I was with someone but it was not the right person? Is that a better thing? Is it better to be married but married to the wrong person? As long as you're married, that's okay, even if you're married to the wrong person? Jin Yong Kim wants me to use a sentence with the word slacker. A slacker is someone who slacks off. To slack off is it's a slang term or a phrasal verb that means to not do anything seriously, to not do your work seriously, right? Slacking off is when you should be working hard, but you're not. You're being lazy or you're doing something else. Maybe you're playing a video game instead of doing your work. That's slacking off. If you are slacking off, then someone might say, hey, slacker, get to work. So a slacker is one who slacks off. Okay? Hello, Adam. What's my favorite focus technique? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Adam. My favorite focus technique is passion. Do the things that you're interested in. Passion and curiosity. Use your passion and your curiosity to guide your learning. Okay? You grew up watching MTV in the 90s. Okay, Henny. So may I ask how to improve one's spoken English in a short time? You need to speak more. but you're not speaking enough. And I know all of the things you're going to say. There's no natives to practice with. People don't speak English here. No one I know speaks English. I know all those excuses, but if you want to speak a language, you have to speak the language. So, there are two things you can do. One is practice speaking the language more. Any kind of speaking you can do it as often as you can. And if there's nobody to practice with, then speak to yourself. Talk to yourself. Okay? That's number one. Number two, you need to start thinking in English all day. Use the English you have and start thinking in English. It's not that hard. You are welcome. What's the difference between passion and fascinate? Passion is a noun, and it usually means the fire you have for the love of something, right? So if you have passion for music, then you have this fire about wanting to do music. If you have passion for learning, then you have a fire inside of you for learning. If you have a passion for reading, then you like to read a lot. Okay? To fascinate is a verb. To be fascinated means, wow, that's really interesting. That's fascinating. If something is fascinating, that's an adjective, it means very interesting and incredible or amazing. Usually, mostly, it focuses like it's very interesting. If I say something is very fascinating, it makes me think it's very interesting. I want to think about it a lot more. Okay? Adam, you mean when you are studying or reading some books, sometimes you can't use their full potential. Well, that's normal, Adam. It takes time. There are some lessons, Adam, that you'll do that lesson every day for 10 years, and it won't seem to get any better. But then suddenly, 10 years later, it does. So, learning is funny that way. You can't always think about learning like, I'm not doing this to my full potential right now. Okay? It might hit you later. It might hit you later. Okay? It's like reading Shakespeare. It's really hard, and it might be difficult, and maybe you won't understand a lot, but that doesn't mean it's not good for you. And if you read it many, many times for many, many years, eventually it will start to make sense, and you'll be like, wow, I understand now. Okay? Samana, I have a YouTube channel and a Facebook channel and a TikTok channel. And I will give you those here. One moment. Let me do this. Okay. You can go to this link. I just made a post just now, right now. So you have to wait. It's going to take about 5 minutes maybe before it shows up. All right, so I just posted it. If you open this link now, it's not going to work. But wait about 5 or 10 minutes and it will work. Okay, so that's the link. And on that link, you can find my my YouTube, my Facebook, my TikTok, and my Buy Me a Coffee page. Okay? But once again, please wait about 5 or 10 minutes, and then it will be available. Can I recommend some American food? Well, yeah, sure. What have you tried? What have you heard about? There's a lot of different foods. Lois says, if I think in English, my vocabulary may not be enough for my thoughts. That's right, it won't. That's the point. Lois, that's the point. When you try to think in English, it will become very obvious about what things you can speak about and what things you can't speak about. And that's why thinking in English is the fastest way to really improve, because you'll find all the things that you don't know how to say. If you walk around all day and use the English you have, right? So walk around and just think simple things like, she's cute, he's handsome, that smells good, that looks good. I like that. I don't like that. So you start with simple things, but then you'll see something that you want to think about in English, but you don't know how. Write it down in Chinese, and now you know what you need to start to learn. What do you need to figure out how to say in English? And if you do it every day, you will start to fill in those little holes, those gaps. We call those gaps. Gaps means like a hole or a spot where there's nothing. Okay? Oh, I'm so tired today. Is there another person to describe a person who is a Luddite, like not technologically savvy? Luddite is probably the most interesting word we use to talk about people who don't use technology. But there are a couple other ones. One moment. Well, interesting. There are not too many that come up that are really appropriate. And really, when I think about that idea, the first word that comes to mind is Luddite. What is a Luddite, everyone? A Luddite, the Luddites were a group, they were a religious group, and they did not believe in any technology at all. They didn't believe in the using any technology. None. Okay? And they're not around anymore, these people. So now we use the term Luddite when we're talking about people who don't want to use technology or don't know how to use technology. And that's not a good thing anymore. You have to know how to use technology in the modern world. You just have to. Okay? I understand it's important to know how to do things from, 50 years ago and 100 years ago, but it's also important to know how to do things from today, like technology. So I would probably use the word Luddite, Anna. Jin Yong Kim, you have difficulty pronouncing those words. Jin Yong Kim, use a bigger mouth. Use a bigger mouth. Korean is a small mouth language. Okay, everything happens with a very small mouth. So, if you just try to use a bigger mouth, look how big my mouth is and how much it moves. Think about that when you are speaking those words. Help. Help. College. College. Conservative. Conservative. Prioritize. Prioritize. Valet. Valet. Patriot. Patriot. And antonym. Antonym. But look how much my mouth is moving and how wide and open it is. Try that. Speak slowly. Use a big mouth. And you'll be fine. Is there a difference between attorney and lawyer? No. Same thing. 이양답. Hello, Miriam. You bought a new book and you thought your English level's good? Good for you. I'm glad. Do I know how to use who and whom? I do, Carlos, but the truth is no one cares. I do believe that word will not be part of the English language in about 20 years. It's totally pointless. It has no purpose. It serves no meaning. If you use the word who, nothing changes. It's a grammar rule that was made for no good reason whatsoever. So, if you ask 100 Americans, I would probably guess maybe 3 of them might know the rule. Between when to use who and when to use whom. What does that mean? It means learn it for the test, but don't worry about it. Learn it for the test and then forget about it and never think about it again. And just use the word who because no one cares. All right? That might not be the answer you want, Juan Carlos, but that's the answer I'm giving you. You know, who and whom is such a stupid, small, little complexification. There's no purpose to it. What am I drinking? I'm drinking iced coffee. Chano. J.C. Rod says, like the Amish people, the Luddites are not, or I should say the Amish were not as bad as the Luddites. The Amish did use some technology, just not really modern technology, right? But the Luddites, they were like in a constant fight about, is that a tool? Can we use tools? I don't think we can use tools. Matthew, they're not quite the same. They're not quite the same. They're similar, but not quite the same. No, Luddites are not the same as Amish. They're a slightly different religious group. And there are no more Luddites, but there are Amish. We have Amish in Ohio, here. Okay? Have I ever eaten betel nut? I have. It's not good. And we say betel nut. Bing lang is betel nut. You're welcome, Anna. Joanna, I'm just answering questions. Yeah, it's a very antique usage, Juan Carlos, and it's just something that no one cares about. So I don't see the point in talking about it, or I don't see the point in teaching it anymore. I really don't. I really don't see how it benefits language or communication at all. If you just use the word who, no one is going to be confused and no meaning is lost. So, what's the point? Right? Lala, I know that about Iran. I know you can't order things easily there. I'm aware. Matthew, to persuade means to try to convince someone. No, Matthew, persuade doesn't necessarily mean forcefully. No, you can persuade your dog with ice cream. You can persuade a child with a treat, like some chocolate, You can persuade your wife with some flowers. Okay? Persuasion is your ability to convince someone of something. Okay? To persuade means to try to convince someone of something that you believe. Okay? So, where should we go to dinner tonight? She wants to go to the steak restaurant, and you want to go to the seafood restaurant. So you will persuade her to go to the seafood restaurant, or she will persuade you to go to the steak restaurant. Okay? It could be forcefully, but not, no. I think that when I think of the word persuade, no, I don't think of any kind of force being used other than logic. You're just trying to make a better argument. And if you make a better argument, then maybe they will agree with you. Okay? Tim says, how many tenses do Americans typically use in everyday conversation? Tim, that's really hard to say, There's 16 tenses or something, and I don't know how many of them I use because I don't think about them like that. I don't walk around all day, I used past tense, present perfect, I don't think about them like that, so it's impossible for me to really say. I think maybe it's better to do the opposite of your question. One minute. So, when I did a search for the least commonly used tenses, that's probably a better question, right? Asking which ones are the most common, that's hard to answer. But which ones are the least common, that's a little bit easier to answer. So the least common ones are past perfect progressive and future perfect progressive. Okay? Past perfect progressive and future perfect progressive. And yes, I can speak Chinese. Ooh, there's a heavy question. What are the things that make life valuable? Abid Fatah. That's a question only your heart can answer. No one else can answer that for you. You can answer that yourself, but you have to ask your own heart. No one else can tell you what's valuable in life. Only you can. Yes, Matthew, I know what he means. But again, it's impossible to tell because you have to understand it depends on what American you're talking to. All right? there are some Americans who might only use 2 or 3 tenses all the time. There are some Americans who speak really well, like Obama, and he uses all of them, I'm sure. Okay, so it's hard for me to say which one's the most popular, but it's a little bit easier to say which ones are not as common. Okay? I hope that is helpful to you, Tim. Hero wants to know, is there an idiom called mouse potato? No, Hero, I think what you want to say is couch potato. Couch potato. Couch 就是沙发. Okay? A couch potato 就是沙发的马铃薯. Yeah, it's a lazy person. Yeah, it's a lazy person. It's a person who sits on the couch like a potato. Okay? Anna wants to know, if I always tip 10% of the total for any service in the U.S., is it proper? No, Anna, 10% is considered too small. Yeah. I always give 20% or more. Unless, if it was bad service. If it was bad service, then maybe I'll give 15% or less, but usually, even if it's bad, I'll just think, well, this person probably just had a bad day. And so I still will leave 15%. If they were really rude, then I won't leave anything. Or maybe I'll leave 1 penny. I'll leave just a penny and that's it. But in America, if you want to know what's the most appropriate number that's acceptable as a tip, 15% is considered acceptable, and that's okay, and that's enough, and no one will think anything bad about you. 20%, if you give 20%, you're definitely, that's fair. That's very fair. That's generous even. Okay? And nada, the uncommon tenses that I mentioned are past perfect progressive and future perfect progressive. Those are the 2 that I would say are not that common. Okay? I did press the record button. Thank you, Carlos. You're welcome, Tim. Input can be used as advice. Input means, what do you think? If I say, what is your input about this idea? It means I want to know, what do you think? Tell me what you feel about my idea. What is your input? Okay? Put your ideas in. That's input. Okay? Hello, Sugar Cube. You're welcome, Matthew. Oh, okay. Hero says a mouse potato is someone who spends most of their time sitting in front of a computer. Okay. I've never heard that before. I understand it, but I've never heard it used before. Miracle says, should we give a tip when we go to any restaurant? Miracle, if you go to a fast food restaurant, usually no. So like McDonald's or Taco Bell or KFC or Subway, no. You don't leave a tip when it's fast food most of the time, okay? However, fast food jobs are not fun. They're not good. They're really hard. And so sometimes people will give a tip there because that's a terrible job. Nobody wants that job. So sometimes, my father will say, hey, here's an extra something for you because, this job is not good. So here, okay? But if you are going to a restaurant where you sit sit down and you have a waiter who comes to you to ask you, what do you want to eat? And they bring you your food and they ask you, do you need anything else? And can I get you some more soda or some more coffee, or would you like some dessert? They are working for their tip. They are working for their tip. All right. So anytime you have a server, a waiter or server come to help you, those are the places where you are expected to tip. Okay? Matthew, I have thought about doing voice rooms, but I just don't have time, my friend. I just don't have time. This is the best way that I can help the most amount of people, is doing live streams. Okay? Do I have any ideas about free scholarships for medicine for postgraduate? I'm sorry, I don't have any idea about any of that. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about medical scholarships. Can't help you. Hero, you saw that idiom in a book? Okay, maybe. It just might be new. You know, I've never heard of it myself. Let me just do a search here really quickly. Yeah, okay, so it does come up, but is it us? Yeah, it's a slang term. It's not an official word yet. But yeah, anyway, it's new. It's new. Ahmed says, do you have any tips to improve pronunciation? Yeah, many. First, Ahmed, make sure you hit the follow button, because I have a lot of people who ask me questions. A lot of those questions are about pronunciation. So you'll hear many tips about pronunciation. But Ahmed, the main thing is don't speak fast. Speak clear. Okay? Open your mouth and practice what we call good diction, which means moving the muscles of your mouth in the proper way to make the proper sounds. Okay? Don't be a Judas, I think is what you're trying to say, Sugar Cube. So, who was Judas? You guys know who Judas was? Judas was the guy who betrayed Jesus, right? We're not going to talk about religion. This is not about religion. This is about an idiom. And there's an idiom in English where we might say he's a Judas or don't be a Judas. And that means a traitor, someone who's going to betray you, right? So Judas betrayed Jesus. So if someone calls you a Judas, then they're calling you a traitor or someone who's going to do something bad to you. But Sugar Cube, no offense, but maybe you need to talk to some people who speak better. It sounds like that person doesn't necessarily use proper English. Did I solve my hard disk problem? Kind of. Adam is asking, what does desert mean in the context? Adam, I don't remember using the word desert. Max is asking, do all the tips belong to the server? That depends on the restaurant. There are most restaurants, yes. Most restaurants, if you give that server that money goes to that person only. But some restaurants, all of the workers will take all their money and put it together at the end of the night and then split it. Okay, so it depends on the restaurant. It depends on the restaurant. Juan Carlos, there are many, many places besides restaurants that you also might be expected to tip, but I'm just talking about restaurants in general. Okay? Nguyen Chung says, I want to know how you learned English in school when you were a kid. Well, that's too hard for me to explain. How can I explain the first 15 years of my life? I can't really explain how I learned English from when I was a baby. I have a way that I use to help you learn English. You don't need to learn it the same way that I did, but you do need some of the things that I learned. Okay? Are we in control by the social media owners? No. Turn off your phone, and then you're not. You can't really say you're being controlled by anyone if you can just hit one button and turn it off. It's like saying that you're being controlled by your TV. What do I do in my daily morning to get up healthy and powerful? Coffee. I am not a morning person. I do not like the morning. I have to get up in the morning for my live streams. So I wake up. I need at least an hour before I start my stream. I need coffee. I need to eat some pistachios, and I usually take my dog for a walk, and then I get a shower and get cleaned up and get ready. That's it. Give yourself a pat on the back. What does it mean? Pat. To pat is like this, right? So to pat someone on the back, like when someone does something good, you say, oh, good job, and you give them a pat on the back. So when you pat yourself on the back, you are telling yourself, oh, hey, good job. Yeah, you did good today, Mark. Mark did good. Do I have private classes for the IELTS? I do. I don't teach it, but I have a friend of mine who's a Canadian guy, and his specialty is IELTS preparation. And so I send him all of my students that need IELTS preparation. However, he's not free. He's not free. This is what we do for work. So if you want an IELTS teacher, I have an excellent one, but you do have to pay for it. Okay? Dessert. Adam, thank you. Yes, dessert means something that you eat that's sweet, like ice cream or cake. That's a dessert. Okay, so the word D-E-S-E-R-T with one S, that's desert. Desert is the very hot place that's dry with a lot of sand and you have camels, and that's the desert. Okay? Dessert has two S's. There's two S's. And desserts are usually very, very sweet, right? So you can remember dessert, D-E-S-S-E-R-T. S-S means super sweet. Super sweet. Okay, so how do you know the difference between desert and dessert? Dessert has two S's, and those S's mean super sweet. What's the difference between stuff and things? Nothing, Wilson. I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of things. I have a lot of stuff to do. I have many things to do. Same. Thank you, Abid Fatah. Hello, Tomo. Sugar Cube, you're looking for this word. Coffee makes you hyperactive. Hyper means more. Or extra. Rama has a British boyfriend and you're getting married next month, inshallah, and sometimes you worry if you will be able to communicate well and discuss about all topics. Well, Rama, if you're worried about it, that's a good thing because it means you're aware of it. If you're aware of it, then you can work on it. And what I would suggest, Rama, is you should tell your boyfriend exactly what you just told me. Tell him exactly what you just told me, and that way you both know that there's a worry. There's a worry that you might not communicate well with each other. So if you're both aware of that worry, then you can both try to focus on that and make sure it's not a problem. Okay? Mirka says, my idea for improving English is speak with myself. It's the best way. Well, Mirka, it's one way, but speaking to yourself is not the best way to practice speaking. Speaking is supposed to be an interactive thing, okay? So when I recommend speaking practice, I give people 4 levels of speaking practice. First level is try to find a native speaker. Find a native speaker in your city. They're not as hard to find as you think. If you can't find one in your city, then find one online on HelloTalk or Facebook or wherever, okay? Try to find a native speaker and try to make friends with them. Don't just ask them, teach me English, please. That's stupid. Why would you think that would work? Why would you think that you could just open up an app, talk to a complete stranger, and just tell them, teach me English, please? No, that does not work. But it will work if you make a friend first. Be friends, and then they'll help you. Okay, so number 1, native speaker. Number 2, non-native speaker. Mirka, so you're from the Czech Republic, so find somebody else in the Czech Republic. Go, in Prague, there are many English-speaking people, I'm sure. Go get some coffee and practice your English with them. And maybe their English is not perfect, but maybe they might have some aspects of their English that are better than yours, right? So maybe their grammar is worse than yours, but maybe their vocabulary is better than yours. So you can help each other. So 1, native speaker, 2, non-native speaker, and 3, Mirka, the best way to practice speaking English is to teach someone. So get a student, teach your niece, teach your nephew, teach your daughter, teach your son, teach your mom or dad, teach your neighbor, teach your boss, teach your friend, teach your family, whatever. The more people you can teach, the better. Okay, teaching is the fastest way to learn. Let me say that one more time for everyone. Teaching is the fastest way to learn. If you really want to learn quicker, then find someone that you can teach what you know. Okay? And the more you teach them, that's the best kind of practice you can do. So that's level 3. 1, native speaker. 2, non-native speaker. 3, teach someone. And then 4, Mirka, your way is number 4. talk to yourself. If you can't find number 1, 2, and 3, then yes, then I agree. Talking to yourself is important. Okay? Please be patient, everyone. I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Nguyen Chung, I do live streams right now. I do live streams 10 times a week, 5 days a week on my Hello Talk profile. But I will be moving some of those live streams to YouTube and maybe Facebook and maybe TikTok in the next month. Okay, so right now, the best place to follow me is right here, but you can also go here. If you want all of my links, if you want to connect to my YouTube and my Facebook page and my TikTok and my Buy Me a Coffee page, go to that link. You can see all of my links right there. Wow, I'm almost out of time, everybody. I need to end here. Hold on, let me finish a couple of questions here. Scrollma, I speak English and I speak Chinese, and then I know a little bit of about maybe 12 other languages. Just a little. Zara, if you want a private teacher for IELTS, send me a private message, and I'll get you in contact with my friend Mike. Okay? So message me privately after this, and then I will connect you with my friend Mike, and you guys can talk about lessons. Okay? Lala says, I graduated in the field of English translation, but I'm not fluent in speaking English. Well, Lala, I have good news for you. No one is fluent in any language. The word fluent is just a stupid word that doesn't have any real meaning. It's supposed to mean that you are able to talk about anything easily. Lala, can you talk about anything in Persian easily? Anything. If I asked you to talk about astrophysics, could you talk about astrophysics in Persian very easily? If I asked you to talk about advanced math, could you talk about that in Persian very easily? No, that's my point. That's my point. So, look, you speak Persian, but you're not fluent. So, my point is the word fluent doesn't have any real value. There's no value in the word fluent. So, don't worry about the word fluent, okay? Think about language like music, okay? When musicians learn music, we're not always trying to play the most complicated thing. No, we're using the language to make good sounding things that sound pretty to our ears, things that sound nice, things that make you feel something, right? So, don't worry about, oh no, I think I lost my connection again. Can you guys hear me? Hello? You can. All right, weird. Okay, I'm sorry, some kind of a connection problem. But the point is musicians make music, but you don't have to know everything about music to make good music. You don't have to know everything about language to make good language either. So forget about the word fluent. Just try to use what you know to make musical language. Just whatever you're feeling, make those words come out and make someone else see those words in their mind. That's what language is for. Okay? Asma, how can you learn many languages at the same time? You can learn many languages at the same time, but it will be very, 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 very hard. So I don't recommend it. You can do it, but I don't recommend it. All right? Yeah, but forget about the word fluent, everybody. It's such a silly, stupid word that has no meaning. How do you know if you're fluent? Is there a test for fluency? Because if you're going to tell me the English test tests for fluency, it doesn't. No, it tests for competency. It doesn't test for fluency. All of the English tests or language tests, they don't test for fluency. They test for competency. That's different. Again, fluency, look it up. It's supposed to mean you can talk about anything easily. But no one can talk about anything easily in whatever language. All right? Anna wants to raise her hand and speak on the stage. Or Joanna. Sorry. You can, Joanna, but in about 15 minutes, okay? I need to take a break, and then I'll be back, and I'll have a second live stream, and then you guys can ask me more questions or come on stage. I spent too much time talking today, so my next live stream, as soon as I start the live stream, I'm going to invite people on stage, okay? So, come back and see me in about 15 minutes, and then I will be back to answer more of your questions. Okay? I just need a quick break, everybody. Make sure you hit the follow button, and you can go to this link. Go to this link. If you want to connect to all of my pages, my Facebook page, my YouTube page, my TikTok page, and my Buy Me a Coffee page, you can go to that link, okay? Go to that link. Ibrahim, I'll be back in about 15 minutes, okay? So I won't be gone long. Come back and see me in just about 15 minutes, okay? All right, everyone. Thank you once again, and make sure you hit the follow button, and I will see you guys back here in about 15 minutes, okay? Bye-bye, everyone. Let's try that again. What happened to my video? Let's try this one then. Well, that's weird. My video doesn't want to work. Let me try it again. How strange. What is going on? Well, so bizarre. Okay, let's try it one more time. There it is. Okay, see you guys in about 15 minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.